You should have said that other text first.
I call the 2,412th meeting of the Milwaukie City Council to order. This meeting is being held in person at City Hall and by video conference. The public may participate in this meeting by coming to City Hall or joining the Zoom webinar. The meeting is being broadcast live on the city's YouTube channel and Comcast Cable Channel 30 within city limits. There will be opportunities for the public to speak during this meeting. If you would like to address council, you may come to City Hall or participate via Zoom. If you are interested in speaking, please let staff know by filling out a yellow comment card over on the table by the entrance, and for those at City Hall, or by emailing ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov for those on Zoom. When it is time to take public comments, staff will monitor the comment cards, email inbox, and Zoom participant list and chat. We will take comments in the order they are received and seen. Comments may be emailed to ocr@milwaukieoregon.gov. We ask that all Zoom participants who intend to speak label their Zoom username to show their first and last names for the record. Spanish translation services are available upon request. The public is asked to request translation and other meeting accessibility services at least 48 hours before the meeting. For more information, contact the city recorder at 503-786-7502. Servicios de traducción en español está disponible cuando sea solicitado. Se pide al público que solicite servicios de traducción y otros servicios de accesibilidad por lo menos 48 horas antes de la reunión. Para obtener más información, llama al secretario de la ciudad a 503-786-7502. Translation services are also available in other languages. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The City of Milwaukie respectfully acknowledges that our community is located on the ancestral homeland of the Clackamas people. In 1855, the surviving members of the Clackamas signed the Willamette Valley Treaty, also known as the Kalapuya Etc. Treaty, with the federal government in good faith. We offer our respect and gratitude to the indigenous people of this land. And now we have our announcements. The Letting Library's Fall Author Series continues tomorrow. In Becoming Earth, How Our Planet Came to Life, Ferris Jabber shows us how Earth became the world we've known, how it is rapidly becoming a very different world, and how we will determine what kind of Earth our descendants inherit for millennia to come. The event takes place at the Letting Library. Volunteer at the next Elk Rock Island restoration event this Saturday, October 19th from 9:30 a.m. to noon. Bring your mud gear, gloves, a water bottle, and your favorite digging or clipping tools. Volunteers meet at Southeast 19th and Sparrow to get started. Please join the city for its annual Arbor Day celebration and tree planting on Saturday, October 26th from 8:45 a.m. to 1 p.m. There are multiple ways to participate in the celebration. You can sign up to volunteer to help plant trees throughout the city on the day of the event. You can also just stop by and enjoy the festivities, which include free tree giveaways, light food and refreshments, and lots of information about the city's urban forest program. The event takes place at Water Tower Park. The annual event to dispose of unused or expired prescription drugs and shred sensitive documents is coming up on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the city's Public Safety Building. Please check the event on the city's online calendar for specific information about how to prepare your items for drop-off. Celebrate No Ivy Day at Homewood Park on Saturday, October 26th from 10 a.m. to noon. Volunteers will be pulling ivy along the path through the park to improve the understory habitat. All ages are welcome. Tools, snacks, and instruction provided. Please sign up to volunteer. And if we didn't already have enough going on October 26th, there's a couple more things. Put on your costumes and come downtown on Saturday, October 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. for trick or treat on Main Street. Businesses throughout downtown, not just on Main Street, will open their doors to little ghosts and goblins with candy and other fun surprises. Check the city calendar on the web to find particular highlights to be aware of. And I do know that most or all of the city councilors will be out front here, out in front of City Hall, distributing candy, so come by and see us. Celebrate all things ghostly delightful at NCPRD's Halloween Bash and Movie Night on Saturday, October 26th at the Milwaukie Community Center. The event is from 5 to 8 p.m. The movie, Monsters, Inc., will be shown at 6:30 p.m. The Hector Campbell Neighborhood District Association invites you to make the trail through Homewood Park part of your trick-or-treat route on Halloween. The route starts at the west end of the trail off of Garrett Drive and ends with photo opportunities and popcorn. The not-so-spooky fun will begin at 4 and end at 7:30 p.m. For more information about each of these events and others, please visit the city's homepage at milwaukeeoregon.gov or call 503-786-7555. So I've had a practice this year of trying to read haiku after the announcements. I solicit people to submit haiku, and I'm not getting a lot of submissions, so I had to write my own this week. And given that this is our last meeting before Election Day, I thought that should be my topic. So here's my haiku. No spectator sport. Democracy needs us all to engage and vote. I do want to remind people out there, if you want to send me haiku, they can be more humorous than this. They don't all have to be on a serious topic. They just have to be clean and not religious, and yeah. But there's not a lot of rules, so if you want to write a haiku, please do.
Mayor, one more
Yes.
announcement, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So at our last regular session, we proclaimed October 16th, which is tomorrow, to be Election Worker Support and Appreciation Day, as they start to send out the ballots. And I just want to take this one final opportunity to lend our support for those election workers who are powering this most important democratic activity.
Thank you. That's a good reminder. And I did note that the county clerk on Facebook expressed appreciation for the proclamation that you brought to us at our last meeting. So I think it meant a lot to them to have the support of the city. So thank you for bringing that forward. With that, we will turn it over to Kim Kellogg, the principal of Milwaukie High School, to present her Student of the Month.
Well, good evening.
So yeah.
I'm so excited to be here again with all of you and to bring Helen Beecher to introduce tonight. Helen has a 3.9 GPA. She is working towards her honors diploma. She's in the National Honor Society. And the things that I feel like Helen has really gotten involved with in school throughout the four years. She has been in animal science. She's been 1 through 3 through Sabin-Schellenberg classes. And then she's now in the advanced ag program, ag research. And we were just talking about her involvement in FFA and going to run for office coming up. And I can let her talk to you about that a little bit as well. She's taken at MHS, AP World History, AP US History, AP US Gov, AP Lit and Comp, AP Stats, AP Lit and Lang. She's involved in FFA, student government, the swim team, and currently is working at the Aquatic Center. And so kind of very well-rounded and doesn't have a minute to spare with many other things. So we put together some different pieces about being part of the swim team. The picture in the middle is about the Cares Week that we do at Milwaukie High School. And then I love the picture of you and the sheep. You can do a little selfie there. And then to the right on the bottom is more of a presentation that Helen was part of for our Rotary that came to our school, and kind of just talking about kind of the life of a student at Milwaukie High School and just how things have changed over time and since the pandemic. And then there's a picture right there of the swim team. There have been many teachers that had many wonderful things to say about Helen, but I put in here is Selena Aviles is our college and career teacher at our school, and said that Helen is dedicated and passionate student who brings so much energy to everything she's involved in, whether it's sharing her ideas or talking about her interests. She's always eager and engaged. Helen's warm and helpful nature makes her a wonderful presence in any group. She effortlessly builds strong connections with those around her. Her sense of humor and insightful perspective bring joy to her interactions, making her such a valued member of her classes and community. And I would echo that. I've just really enjoyed getting to know Helen over the last 4 years. And I love this, the well-roundedness that she brings in her engagement within our community. So I'm going to turn it over to all of you.
Yeah, please feel free to, we will all kind of say something before we wrap up, but we'd love to hear from you about your school experience and your plans after graduation, et cetera.
Yeah, so right now, really exciting to get to be a part of all of the different activities around the school. I've really enjoyed getting to spend the past 4 years trying out a whole bunch of different things, which has really helped me out with planning for what I want to do in the future. Because what I'm planning on now is a lot different than what I was looking to do in 7th grade. Got started with college planning way too early, but it gave me something to do during the pandemic. My plans after high school right now, I want to go to college and I'm looking to go into environmental science, natural resources. I haven't quite made up my mind where I want to go yet, but I'm working on finishing up college applications. Currently, I also am a part of several different community activities. My favorite one has been my involvement in FFA. I currently serve as our chapter president, as well as a district officer for the 8 districts in the Mount Hood district, which is approximately 200 people that I represent on a team. It's been a really exciting thing to be involved in. I've gotten to do competitions from soils judging to extemporaneous public speaking, and parliamentary procedures have been some of my favorites. I also participate in our school's NHS. I love doing the volunteer activities, especially a lot of the ones hosted by the city of Milwaukie. There's plenty of great things to get involved in.
Great. Well, thank you very much for everything you do. Like Ms. Kellogg said, you are amazingly well-rounded student doing, everything from athletics to agriculture and all those AP classes. Swim team, that's a big swim team, by the way. I would not have expected a swim team that big. So where do you guys swim?
We swim at the aquatic park.
Oh, okay.
So there's been some times where I've ended up working during one of our swim practices.
Oh, yeah. Have you worked there for a while?
I've been working there for almost 2 years now. I just had to go through my recertification process.
Yeah. So you're a certified lifeguard?
Yep.
Awesome, great. Well, you've got it all. That's amazing. So I'll turn it over to Counselor Khosrowbadi.
Helen, it's great to have you here. I'll tell you, I never took an AP class of anything. That's how terrible it was for me, but I get blown away when I see that, because I always think of it as a lot harder than the classes I took, and I figured that those classes were pretty hard. So kudos to you for having that capability, because it's not common. So I appreciate and respect everything that you've done in school. You mentioned something about running for something?
Yeah, so one of my future plans is through FFA, I have the opportunity to run for state office, which is every year they elect 6 people from the approximately 16,000 Oregon FFA members who represent the Oregon State Association. And in order to do that, you have to go through a process which involves, I think, about 4 different interviews. There's an extemporaneous speaking portion of it, and eventually, as they narrow it down through the 4 days, they wind up with 10 individuals that they present as their final slate, and 6 of those people get to be elected to serve as state officers. And that's something that I really want to work towards and just put myself out there to continue to serve in that role.
Well, that's incredible. That's awesome. Hopefully you don't stop there, because there's a lot of state legislative offices that, at some point you could use an intelligent, bright person like you, especially with the environmental science that you're going into. We all know about the climate crisis. So the bright minds are sitting right in front of us. So don't miss those opportunities when they come by. That leadership is key, and you're already there. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely say that, when you said you liked, you like extemporaneous speaking and you like parliamentary procedure, it's like, okay, when you finish college, you can run for city council too. So I will turn it over to the council president.
Helen, thanks for coming. I'm surprised we were able to get you here with your calendar. But thanks for coming. This is great for us. We want to thank you and extend our appreciation for all that you're doing for yourself and for your communities and your school. And it's great. You get some pictures made up here in City Hall, and you get a certificate. But you know what? You're going to forget all about that real soon. And you're going to remember those teachers and your other classmates who've, entrusted you with leadership positions. That's what's going to be really important. The things that, you're going to take with you as you proceed. So enjoy those moments with those people who are near and dear to you. I also want to give you a little bit of advice. You got another semester left so that you can improve upon that 3.9 GPA. Thanks for coming.
Helen, thank you for coming here today. I sure hope College Board does a punch pass for their AP test, because you are close to the 10 where you get a freebie. I am just really impressed by all the work you've done, but I'm particularly impressed with all this stuff you've been doing with FFA. I think Milwaukie is such an urban community, but you're still engaging with this. And we hear a lot. My day job is down at the state legislature, and you hear a lot over there about struggles that people are having to get more young folks into the farming industry. And so off the cuff, I'm really curious, do you see problems getting into this industry, and what are some ways that we here out in Milwaukie, even though we're far from farmland, can support future farmers?
Definitely one of the things that took me by surprise after my first couple of events was just the fact that it was completely different from anything that I had done before. The people are a lot different, and it was a completely new experience. I had always been interested in having my own animals. Since I was younger, I was oh, I love going down to the state fair and seeing the goats. And now I have the opportunity where I own my own animals. I have a goat that's currently at the Lands Lab right now. And I think one of the ways that you can get youth more involved is just offering them the class experience. I signed up for the class because I was animals sound fun. I didn't know that there was a leadership part of it. I didn't know that anything that I could do, or the different struggles that we faced, or any of that. But getting involved in just an agricultural education class was like, oh, now I understand where people are coming from, and I can learn different opinions from my own and take into account all these different perspectives. And it's been really interesting and definitely very unique to get to hear just so many different people from across the state. And I enjoy doing it very much.
Great. Well, thank you for all the work that you're doing so far.
Yes, thanks again, Helen. We have a proclamation or a certificate that we usually read out. So count on Counselor or the City Recorder to put it up on the screen. So I could actually read it from here if I had to. But, okay. All right, well, it's all right. The City of Milwaukee is proud to recognize for outstanding student achievement in academics, civic engagement, and extracurricular activities at Milwaukie High School, Helen Beecher. Let it be known to all that on this 15th day of October, 2024, the City Council of the City of Milwaukee, a municipal corporation in the County of Clackamas in the state of Oregon, recognized this student as an excellent example of the bright future of this community and nation.
Thank you.
And you guys are welcome to stay, but, and we do have actually a relatively short meeting tonight, but we certainly understand if you do not want to stay for the rest of it. I did want to recognize Councilor Savageward had been not with us earlier, but she's joined us now. And we will move on to our special report, which is a presentation by the City of Portland's administrator, who has a big job. My goodness. Portland City Administrator Michael Jordan, to talk to us about all the changes afoot. I think probably people who've been reading the papers know that there's a lot changing in Portland, in both the nature of their city council, but also the governmental structures and things. So thanks for being with us.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. For the record, my name is Mike Jordan. I am this week the city administrator for the City of Portland. Things are changing in Portland rapidly, so I try to benchmark every week. Thank you for having us. I really appreciate you giving us some time on your agenda. I know you have a lot of work to do, and really appreciate the previous presentation before you. It bodes well for the future of Milwaukee and for our state, I think. With me today is Shoshana Oppenheim. Shoshana is really the brains behind the outfit. Shoshana has been working as the project manager to make the transition in Portland. It's a multifaceted effort. She'll talk a little bit about kind of the nuts and bolts of what we've been up to. Shoshana also helped with her team, staff, the Charter Commission that actually brought forward the ballot measure that got us here back in November of 22. Shoshana is going to start off and kind of go over some of the nuts and bolts of the change. I'm going to talk a little bit about the organizational changes that we're making and of course, answer your questions if we can. So, Shoshana.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for that introduction. Even with that introduction, I'm not nearly as talented as Helen. So it was a pleasure to be with you today. Shoshana Oppenheim, I use she and they pronouns, and I'm the transition project manager at the City of Portland. So we'll talk a little bit about where we are in our effort, but I think that, the grounding idea for us to come to you and have this conversation with you is that we really want to start that new partnership that is the promise, the civic promise of the charter amendments that they hold. So I think that that by laying out like where we've been and what's included in the charter amendments, will give you a little bit of an update on the project. So without that, so we'll just move forward with, we've been working hard to implement the voter-approved charter amendments since we heard the results on November 9th of 2022. And we have been going full sprint ahead. So there are a variety of different elements of the charter amendments, but really the concept behind it is that it's a new day. So you are very familiar with the mayor-council form of government. We're moving to a council manager form of government. We are moving to a mayor-council form of government. So where there are clear legislative roles and executive roles. And what you might know from your experience with Portland is that it's been siloed. There, we've had city commissioners in charge of different service areas and different bureaus that have been assigned. Now we have an organization that'll report up to a city administrator, which is a new role at the city of Portland, very much like your city manager role. The city administrator really holds the responsibility of the day-to-day operations of the city. So the charter amendments include three basic elements. So we're transitioning to this November's election being one that we're electing our mayor, our auditor, and our city council by ranked choice voting. So no longer are we doing first past the post. We'll be transitioning to this new form of government, which you may, if you've looked at your ballot, you might notice that it's also on the ballot for you to consider for your statewide representation. We're also moving from citywide elections for all of our members of our city council and our mayor and auditor to electing our council by geographic district. So we'll have 4 geographic districts with 3 members representing each district. We're also moving from the commission form of government, which was last adopted in 1913, quite some time ago, and to a 12-member council with an executive mayor and again, a city administrator that is helping the mayor run the day-to-day operations. We've been working very hard to make sure that the will of the voters is fully implemented. We have both the election methods streams of work as well as the governance streams of work. Again, mentioning that we're ready for the 2024 election, which is right around the corner. You might be seeing your ballot in the mail any day now. And we've been really launching quite a significant, what I'm calling a best-in-class voter education campaign. So there's lots of information if you're interested in knowing how the city of Portland and Multnomah County are running our election at portland.gov/vote. So lots of information for all your friends who are just a little bit north of here to know how to rank their votes. So on the governance side, we've been ensuring that our new elected officials are paid a fair salary with a salary commission, which was included in the charter amendments. Again, I just looked at my ballot packet, and there is another initiative very similar to that to set the pay of our state representatives and our state officials. So we've also updated our organizational structure, which Mike is going to talk a little bit more in-depthly about, to make sure that all of our organization actually reports up to a city administrator. Renovating our city hall. I see that you're in a new building. I got a little tour earlier before the meeting. So we're building our new council chambers to accommodate the 12-member council. There'll be places for the mayor, city administrator, our city attorneys. Look very similar to what you have here. We welcome you to join us on January 2nd for our first council meeting. You can watch us online, or you can, stop by. I'm sure that there are going to be tours. It's a really huge lift, and our team has really been putting in the time to make sure that that is a welcoming environment for all Portlanders and presenters at the City Council. We're aligning our budget process, as you might guess, with the changes in their form of government and the roles and responsibilities, budgeting authorities and how budgets actually move through the organization will be much more like they are here in Milwaukee. The mayor will propose a budget in May for the council's approval and consideration and approval, of course. And so we needed to align that budget process with those new roles and responsibilities. And then revising our city code. There is a lot of city code, and many of those sections refer to commissioners in charge, which we won't have again starting in January. So making sure that everybody knows where those authorities are pointing to and how we make decisions at the organization is critical. And then we're preparing a plan for a recruitment for our first recruitment of a city administrator. Mike is serving as our interim city administrator. And so when our new mayor is elected in November, we will have the opportunity to present them with a plan on this is how the best practices on how to recruit a city administrator. We were just in the city of Lake Oswego where we were told to hands off their city manager. I'm sure that we'll get the same message here. So understand that there'll be this new role and there might be others at the city of Portland. So with that, I'll just pass it to Mike.
Oh, thanks, Shoshana. I guess this slide kind of lays out the delineation of the differentiation between the council, which is their role will be to pass laws and policy and to deliberate on the budget, but they won't have a role in the day-to-day operations of the city. The elected mayor will be the elected executive of the city. A little different than a strong mayor form of government, this charter change requires that elected executive to hire a professional city administrator. And all of the staff, save a few I'll talk about, report to that city administrator. And so it's a little bit different than a council manager form, and the mayor does not sit on city council. So that's another kind of differentiation between a council manager form. The mayor gets to vote in case of a tie. The folks in Lake Oswego did note that the number 12 was a little odd. Usually we see odd numbered council, but the mayor, one of the mayor's jobs would be to vote in case there's a tie. The other part of this slide really talks about the administration, and I've got some more detailed slides coming, but one of the, Shoshana noted many of the things that the charter amendment required us to do. Creating the districts, the ranked choice voting, a salary commission, a number of things that it was explicit about. It did not require us to reorganize city government. And city government, prior to just recently, historically, has been 26 bureaus and offices, which reported up to 5 elected officials. And the mayor, the really only power besides proposing a budget, as Shoshana noted, was to assign bureaus to their colleagues on the commission. And so they reported up to the 5 elected officials. They were not accountable to each other, and they're also not accountable to the mayor. They're only accountable to the voters every 4 years. And that's a good thing that they're accountable to the voters, but accountability of the operation of the organization every day, we struggled with that, with 5 heads and no accountability within the organization. This will be a different structure when the mayor appoints a city administrator. And here's a slide which kind of lays it out. A little tough to see the right side where all of our bureaus and offices have been aligned to, but the important change here is that the city administrator is a single point of accountability for day-to-day operations, accountable both to the mayor individually, but also accountable to the council. The mayor appoints the city administrator. The council must confirm that appointment. The mayor can remove the city administrator unilaterally, but the council can also remove the city administrator unilaterally with a supermajority vote of 9 of the 12. And so whoever is in this role in the future, they'll be keeping both of them in their rearview mirror all the time, I'm sure. So there is a very high level of accountability for the administrator, and for the first time in Portland's history, there will be a single point of accountability for the day-to-day operations. We've struggled at times trying to reconcile differences between our bureaus and how we need to do things. And I will say, one of the things that has become very evident in the last decade or so is that, we're not a backwater place between Seattle and San Francisco. This is a big city, and the region is a big urban area. And the problems we face are big city problems, and they require multifaceted solutions. No one bureau at the city of Portland can solve a problem like those on their own. And so it requires much more collaboration between our departments and our bureaus. I'm sure you're experiencing the same thing here to get more holistic solutions to the problems we face these days. And we're convinced, I'm convinced anyway, that having that single point of accountability that can hold the entire enterprise accountable for delivering on those really challenging problems, I think is going to make us better over the long term. There are a couple things I want to mention on this. You'll note that the colorful boxes are deputies in our current form. They've been appointed by the current council, and they're over service areas. And that structure, when you read those boxes, the colored ones, you'll find that it's pretty normal. Nothing that would be that unusual. You'll find a public safety department in most cities. You'll find a public works or infrastructure group in most cities. You'll find budget and finance and city operations, which handle the internal service issues. You'll find community and economic development departments in most big cities. And so it's really, there's no real rocket science to this. I'm often fond of telling people in Portland, this may feel really unusual and it may be a really big change, but we're moving from being the outlier to being the normal city again. And so this is a fairly normal structure that you'd see in lots of places. Now, I said everybody reports up to the city administrator, except for a few. The mayor appoints and the council confirms 3 folks: the city administrator, the city attorney, and interestingly enough, the chief of police. One might ask, gee, the Portland Police Bureau sits in that group with the blue box there that says public safety, and they report up through a deputy city administrator who's accountable to the city administrator. But wait a minute. The mayor appoints the chief of police, and the mayor can remove the chief of police. So how's that going to work? And I'm a little bit flummoxed to give a really good answer about it, except that because the city administrator is accountable directly to the mayor, and so is the chief of police, the administrator is going to be very close to the mayor and work very closely to make sure that the Portland Police Bureau is being led the way the mayor wants it to be led, and is accountable both to the administrator and to the mayor. And I actually have worked in a structure like this. I was the city administrator for the city of Canby for about 10 years. And the council there retained the authority to appoint and remove the chief of police. And so we worked together day to day, and I was accountable for day-to-day operations, but I knew that if there was a challenge with the police department, I'd need to talk with council about the chief's performance. And so it can work, but you have to be collaborative and you have to work together. The other thing that I think is really important here, and we've been trying to prepare for this with Shoshana and the team, is that having the mayor as the executive and not on the council, and having the council being independent legislative body, has the potential for real problems if they don't work together, if they don't collaborate. And there's no requirement in the charter that they do, except on the budget. The mayor has to propose a budget, the council has to deliberate on the budget. But other than that, there's no mandate that they interface. And I think, because I've seen it go badly once in this region, they have to be really collaborative and work closely together if this new form of government is going to work over the long term. So we're doing everything we can on the onboarding of the new freshman class, if you will, getting them prepared that they really are codependent to be successful. They have to work together. I think I'll stop there. There are a couple of details I could talk about, but it might be better if I stop and we answer any questions you might have. Got a couple other comments about what this might mean for the future and our relationship with the city of Milwaukee, but would love to stop briefly and see if there are any questions.
Great. I have one. I'll start with my own, and then I'll call on anybody else who has one. If the mayor is not on the city council, who sets the city council agendas?
That's a great question. The charter does require the council to elect a council president and a vice president in their first meeting each year. Now, they can re-elect people if they wish, but they're required to do that at their first meeting each calendar year. And we expect that the council president will be the person who, I guess, controls what gets on the agenda. We're also fully expecting this council, because we've talked to many other cities across the country that have large city councils, that they will likely have committees. It will be up to the council president with the council to refer items to committee for work and bring them back. And so I think the council president will be the person that works most collaboratively with the mayor about how the council's doing, what's being considered, what's the executive's input on legislation, and how's that going to work. So I think there'll need to be a really close relationship there, and Shoshana may want to.
I would just only add that the mayor also has, while not sitting on council, has the authority to offer items onto the council agenda, just like any other counselor does. So they have the shared power of being able to put things onto the agenda. So as things move through the council president for consideration on how the agenda is going to be considered, the mayor has the opportunity for items of legislation policy to move through that process as well.
Okay. I was thinking earlier tonight in our work session, we had a couple of items that are being dictated by state or federal timelines. There are things we need to decide, we need to make some amendments to code before the end of the year. And I'm like, okay, so if a department elevates to the administrator, hey, we need to have revised code by the end of the year, then you have to sell the city council on why they need to put that on an agenda.
Yeah, the mayor would be able to submit legislation, as Shoshana noted. Okay. I would expect, at least we are currently thinking, that all legislation moving from the executive branch to the legislative branch would be proposed by the mayor. And so it would move that way. I will say that I have some concerns about how something moves from idea to piece of legislation that frames the right question for the legislative body to actually make decisions about something that starts as just an idea. Maybe this is a good idea, maybe it's a bad idea. But I expect they'll be referred to committee, and the committees will hold hearings on those ideas. One of the things that we've noted with many audiences when we've talked about this is when something comes to the Portland City Council today, a piece of legislation, it's usually pretty baked. I mean, we take testimony, there's public hearings, but you rarely see a piece of legislation change very much by the time it gets to council. In this new form with committees, we expect that it'll be much more transparent how an idea moves to legislation with open hearings at council, where I think Portlanders will have a much better chance to be involved in the creation of legislation and the moving of ideas. It's kind of inside baseball right now. And so I think this will accomplish one of the things the Charter Committee wanted was more accessible government for Portlanders and being able to be involved more. And I think that this structure will help with that.
Great. Other questions? Do you have any?
I'm just curious what the thought was behind removing the mayor from the council. What was if you're gonna have that.
Well, you may know better than I. You tracked the council or the Charter Commission a lot more than I did.
I did not.
I think one of the issues with, first of all, districts, multi-members, a larger council was really accessibility and more Portlanders being able to serve on city council. So I think there was a real push to get that. The other thing that seemed to be a very high priority for the Charter Commission was an executive and a single point of accountability for the operation day-to-day of Portland, of the city itself. With the twist that the commission, Charter Committee also wanted professional management. And so those combinations of kind of values that they were trying to make sure, I think led us to a large legislative body with an executive charging for the day-to-day, and then this professional management. So you end up with a few different values that got put together in this proposal, and that's my take, and Shoshana may have.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that they were also aware of the fact that there had been several efforts to amend the city charter. I believe it was 7 times it had gone to the voters and had not been successful. So understanding that they would need to be putting something before voters to approve, most of those previous referrals, if not all of them, had a stronger mayor, probably even stronger than what the Portlanders have adopted now. So either the mayor sits on council, the mayor has a veto, those components were part of previous efforts. And so I think that understanding what they were hearing from community, and there was a lot of community input, was that they really wanted clear roles. They were tired of the confusion of who's responsible for what. So clear roles, removing the day-to-day administration, and then also presenting something to Portland voters that they were interested in passing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council President?
Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it because I can't remember when anyone from Portland came to reach out to us. And so I'm intrigued by all of this. I guess I'm a municipal government, nerd, and so I find this interesting. So let me say that I wish you luck. I hope this is successful. I not only want Portland to be successful, I want them to thrive. I mean, we are neighbors, and you're the anchor city of our state. So I appreciate the fact that in this reorganization, I guess I would say you took a big swing, probably the approach that many places would take would be to nibble around the edges a little bit. But so I appreciate that bold move. There's a lot of opportunity, but some risk in doing that. And so I will ask a question of Michael, on November 5th at 9 o'clock, when we know who the mayor is going to be, and the mayor comes to you and says,
Will we know that by 9 o'clock on November 5th?
that was facetious. I thought that was.
Okay.
And the mayor comes to you, Michael, and said, well, I've got to hire an administrator to take over for you. And he asked you the question, what's the one most important attribute for that person? What would you tell him?
Oh my, that's a great question. There's so many important attributes.
Get to choose one.
I'll choose one. The ability to be vulnerable and realize you don't have all the answers. And I've always found that if you approach leadership jobs that way, first of all, you inspire others. And your real power is in leveraging, in Portland's case, 7,000 human beings who are out there trying to do great work. And I don't think you do that by giving, dictatorial direction. I think you do it by engaging people. And to do that, you have to show them that you're human. And so I'd say that's maybe number one.
I appreciate that. Very thoughtful answer. Yeah. Thank you.
And I appreciate your earlier statement, and maybe I can just riff on that for just a second. One of the reasons we're kind of on our little roadshow here, we've talked with a number of cities and the regional governments and the port, is that, we think it is a new day in Portland, and we want to be better partners. I said this earlier, we've come to realize that not only will it take all of our bureaus working holistically on the big challenges we face, but the really big challenges Portland can't solve on its own, whether it's the transportation system or it's economic development and the job market or it's the housing market. The big challenges that this big urban space faces, even Portland can't solve those. And so, we need to be a better partner and we need to show up. And so we're hopeful that this new structure gives us an opportunity as we onboard new elected officials and think about ourselves in a different way, that we can be more present. So thank you for your statement.
And I'd only add, I am confident that we are going to have an effective election. I am confident that we're going to get through that list of tasks that we laid out for us. But I think that we're often looking like, how do you measure our success? And I think it's that culture change. It's that partnership, that culture change. Mike and I are working, diligently to ensure that that we are creating opportunities for the council and the executive mayor to work together outside of the budget process, on a strategic planning process, on, shared initiatives, on goal setting. All of those pieces really require partnership, but that partnership is also within the region. And I think that we can all agree that, for this reason or that reason or circumstance or personalities, Portland hasn't always shown up. And we have the opportunity to be a much better neighbor and to really fulfill those ideals of partnership. And we know, as Mike said, that, housing affordability is not a Portland problem. Public safety is not a Portland problem. There are problems and issues that will only be solved regionally. And so creating that opportunity, the accountability that Mike spoke about, that is embedded in the work of the Charter Commission, is really true. Those are our guiding principles and our North Star.
And I think there is one thing that we might ask of you. We're going to have a freshman class. There'll be a few, I'm sure, that have been in roles like yours or have been in government and they have some experience. But I'm also certain there will be a whole bunch of them that have never sat in the chairs you sit in. And so we've been noodling the idea of a buddy system, or at least some way to get our folks in touch with people who have done this, who are veterans, who've been in a council manager form, who know how that works when you've got a staff person that's in charge and you have to be the policymaker. So I think there are things you can do, and we're going to find ways to get you together with that freshman class and maybe help a little bit.
I just want to say, I just really appreciate you saying that and admiring that you say that, because I was one of those 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I had to government was serving in Iraq in the war. It's about as close as I ever got. And getting here took a lot. I didn't know a lot of people. I didn't have a big name. I wasn't in government before. And it's tough when you come into this role, you step into this and you're just the average person just trying to make a difference. Stepping into this role and not having any sort of guidance is very difficult, and it can be detrimental because some people take that as you being ineffective, when at the same time you're not ineffective. You're just not who the system was built for. So I would love to be somebody that they can call on.
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Counselor. Appreciate that.
wanted to let Counselor Anderson ask any.
I've got a few. A tip, we have weekly meetings with our city manager, and I'm sure she could find the time to do a weekly meeting with some of the Portland City Council.
Oh, I thought you
It
were.
helped a lot.
I was gonna say, that's an interesting question for the new administrator, like how much
Yeah.
time he or she will have.
12 meetings. A few questions, two specifically. You've alluded to this idea about staffing, and I'm just curious, in your new model, will you be staffing a legislative council? Will there be some type of like legislative policy and research office? Will there be staff per district or per member? How will you coordinate that?
Yes, to all of the above in one way, shape, or form. We have looked at lots of different cities that have large councils and these kinds of things. We have been constrained a bit in how we proposed staffing for the new council. We currently are budgeted for one staff person for each of the elected council. There will be one shared staff person, an administrative staff person for each of the three that are within a district. And then there will be a council office with a manager and 4 staff, I believe, that are there to support the council operations. And if they form committees, which we fully expect them to, that staff will help with that also. I don't think it's a big stretch to say that that might not be enough staff once they get going. But that will be a choice the future council will have to grapple with, because there will be trade-offs if they want to hire more staff for them. We are in, as I'm sure you may be also, we're going into a fairly constrained budget cycle. And I think at least the current mayor and I think a majority of the current council felt uncomfortable funding that new council beyond what would be, I would say, a minimum amount of staffing, and allow the council that comes on to say, find their footing and say, okay, we each need one more, or we need more shared staff, or the council office needs more staff to support committees. They'll have a chance to make those decisions as they structure the way they're going to do business. And we've made some assumptions, but we can't make too many, because it is, at the end of the day, their legislative branch to be able to operate and organize. And so that's what we've been doing.
And can I clarify quickly?
Yeah.
You're saying there will be one shared district staff between the 3 councilors representing it?
One administrative staff person. There'll be one staff person devoted to each councilor. So there'll be 12 staff people for 12 councilors. Then there'll be one administrative staff for each district.
That's shared between the 3.
shared
Okay,
staff.
interesting. And then, yeah.
Oh, no, I would just say that our approach has really been to provide the framework and the foundation. Again, these are new roles for the city of Portland. They're not new roles in other cities, but I think we're still learning. We'll learn how many committees they want to operate. Somewhere between 4 and 7 probably is where we'll be. And how does legislation move through those committees to the council for consideration? We have a council operations manager who's recently been brought on board, who's developing that legislative process for them to consider and adopt. So we are really just in the foundation laying process. And, you know, we understand very early in this process that, you know, we'll get a lot of it right, but there's a lot of it that's going to need to be changed. When we meet our new council and when we meet our new mayor, they'll give us the direction and tell us what they need in order to do their job.
I think to one part of your question, I'll make sure I don't forget it, because I think it's an important piece. The idea of a research team or a group of analysts, if you will, or something like that, to serve the legislative body, we could evolve that way, but I think we're starting now that they have the entire executive branch as their research team. Any information they need to do their job, it's our job to get it to them. And it's our job to get it to them expeditiously, fairly for the whole council, and make sure that they can do their work. Because at the end of the day, if they don't do their work well, we will all suffer for it. So we want to make sure that when they do their work, they're well informed. So.
You hit on one other, well, my second question was going to be, it sounds like you're already preparing some type of rules package for adoption. Will that happen after, this will happen after they select a council president, but is that going to be first thing on the agenda? Or like, what is that? Because that rules package will be so critical to everything.
Your
that may be going
legislative
on.
experience is showing.
I love it.
So absolutely, and our council operations manager is working to develop rules for their consideration. The first order of business would be that election of their council president. Do we expect in that first meeting after, on January 2nd, they'll be ready to adopt new rules? But we have rules in place that have already been adopted that give a framework. There are things that will help them run their meetings from day one. So we have how meetings will be run already established, but we expect them to change when we have them consider this fuller package of, how testimony is taken, when testimony is taken, public comments, those types of things could change, as well as, again, that committee structure is introduced.
Okay, so there will be some rules
There
day
are
one.
rules, this council
Interesting, okay.
adopted.
This council adopted rules.
Okay,
Section
that'll be such a
3.02.
fascinating transition.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, but good question. It was one of
Yeah.
our first efforts was to revise our current rules for the future council to align with the charter.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And I do want to just mention that, although Mike and I are here, we represent a team of, 15 full-time employees that are working on this and hundreds of employees throughout the organization that are working on this. So every aspect of what we've talked about today, there's a project manager, a communication staff. This is a full court press effort at the city of Portland where we're really trying to deliver for our residents.
And is there a betting pool on what day we'll actually know all, who all the elected officials are?
We will know by December the 2nd, which is the requirement by the state that they certify the election
Okay.
result. So we'll know by then, but we did have the elections officer from Multnomah County come to council and talk about how they think they will approach this. And he was fairly confident that, they'll still announce at 8 o'clock on election night, probably 90%
Really?
of votes cast, because
Wow.
they'll have been collecting them and tabulating them, just like they do in a regular election. They did say that they would only announce once that night, whereas previously they had announced multiple times during that night. But then 6 o'clock in the evening every day for the rest of the week. And I think he was pretty confident by the end of the week they would have most of it worked out. But who knows?
We'll know trends.
Yeah.
And so as, if you think about the curve of the ballots that are still out there, so most of the ballots are collected before election night or on election night, then there's some that come in over time. So whether or not those ballots that continue to come in over through the statutory deadline will change the mayoral election. We're not sure about that, but it might have more significance in the council races.
Smaller pools, yeah. Well, yeah, I do want to second what was said before about we appreciate you coming here. I've been on council for 10 years between being councilor and mayor, and I don't think we've ever had anyone from Portland come to our meeting. We did go to Portland meetings, and I will say at the end of Mayor Hale's administration, he and former Mayor Gamba were meeting specifically in relation to the transition of Elk Rock Island, which used to be a Portland property and what was given to us, which we really appreciate. And so some of us did go to the Portland City Council for that. But yeah, it's nice to have you come here. Any last questions or thoughts? In terms of your mentoring thing, just put a query to Emma and she can poll us about who's interested in that.
Oh,
But I
I'd
think
love
you
that.
probably have several
Yeah,
who are
love that.
interested. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the time. We really appreciate it. I know you're busy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
There. Hey, Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Counselor
Hi there.
Stavengerd. Wait. You guys, wait. Counselor Stavengerd is on here and she wants to,
Well-
I neglected to call on her. She's
That's okay. No need to hurry back. I can follow up via email. I just had a question about the committee structure and if the topic-specific committees would be reaching out for regional expertise around those issues, how they would interact with other standing committees or bodies that are already addressing some of those same issues. I'm thinking about the local public safety coordinating council around public safety and the IGA between the city of Portland and Multnomah County with regards to the joint office. So I'm just kind of wondering about the mechanics there, but I'm happy to follow up offline. And then my other question had to do with the type of decisions that are being made now by the existing Portland City Council. It seems like there are a lot of issues that are coming up that have relevance, as we look forward into the next few years. And I'm sure a lot of the candidates that are running would love to be involved in some of that decision making. And so I guess I'm wondering, if you anticipate, either revisiting some of those conversations or a lot of time getting folks up to speed around the deliberation that went into those decisions and kind of what that looks like. And again, happy to follow up offline. I know that you have a lot on your dance card, and I'm sure that getting to your car tonight is one of those things. So thank you very much for being here.
We can answer really quickly. So your second question first, we have a whole onboarding plan and strategy in place. So as soon as we are confident of the results of the election, we'll be reaching out to our new elected officials and making sure that they are aware of this onboarding process and effort. Much of December, there will be opportunities for them to kind of understand the rules and responsibilities and the roles of public officials. And then we'll be starting in January with more policy-focused subjects. So making sure that they're up to speed on recent decisions, anything from, it could be the Keller Auditorium to, approaches to our IGA with Multnomah County on housing and homelessness. So all of those topics are kind of fitting within this curriculum, which is quite extensive, and it's our first time, like Mike said, we have a freshman class, and so many of them haven't served on city council, and so making sure that they understand how the city works. And, it'll be up for the future council to decide whether or not they want to revisit decisions that have been made by previous councils.
Yeah, and we can follow up, Counselor, with a more detailed answer, but I will tell you that probably the biggest challenge of this entire transition, and you can pick the question, has been how much to do before they get here and how much to leave until they get here. And so on everything we're talking about, whether it's structure or any question, how much do we do before, how much do we cook it before they get here, and how much do we leave for them? And that's a judgment not only for us as staff, it's a judgment for the current council. And so it's a great question, and we can talk more perhaps offline.
That sounds great. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks again.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Yeah. We'll let you actually leave the room this time. Hurry, yeah. So from there, we will move on to community comments. This is the part of the agenda during which council will hear community member comments regarding city business that is not already on the agenda. Before we begin, is there any follow-up from the October 1st comments, Ms. Zagor?
There is not, Mayor.
Okay. And we do not have any yellow comment cards of anybody wanting to testify. Scott, do we have anyone online on Zoom who?
I believe just our finance director is on Zoom, but I don't think he has any questions.
Okay, then I will not read that whole script about community comments, and we will move on to the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda includes minutes of the City Council September 3rd, 2024 work session and September 23rd, 2024 regular session. A motion to adopt updated council committee assignments. A resolution authorizing a transfer of appropriation authority for the 2025-2026 biennium. A resolution clarifying Section 17 solid waste of the consolidated fees and charges. A resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement with the Clackamas County Development Agency for the Stanley Avenue Improvement Project. Does any council member wish to remove a consent agenda item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. None heard. The consent agenda passes unanimously. So we are finished, unless there are other council reports. We did some council reports at the end of the work session, Councilor Stavengard, but if you had any council report you wanted to give, I certainly open it up for you to do that.
Nope, I will hold. Thank you.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I did not get us out in under 38 minutes, but, oh, okay.
Sorry, correction, I said that it would, that strategic plan would be in the November 5th packet. It's actually in last week's packet. Thank you, Scott. That's why you're here. And then Emma, just a quick question while we have council. Any news on the tree in Wichita Park?
Yes, Councilor Khosrowshahi's amazing wife, Gabby, discovered a tree that had been cut down in Wichita Park, and I did confirm there was a permit pulled for that.
Okay.
That's all the information I have right now, but it was a permitted tree removal.
By NCPRD.
By NCPRD.
Okay.
Just wanted to know.
Okay.
Gabby sent me a picture of a cut
Thank
down
you for
tree.
looking out for the trees.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, you look like you want to say something. Oh, no, okay. Okay, well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say no. None heard. We are adjourned.
74 minutes.
Oh, you set a timer.